Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome back to Houselights, our director discussion show here on the Nerd Party Network. We're continuing in the House of Cosmatos as we discuss the 1980s works of George P. Cosmatos. Today, we dive down to Shack 7 on the ocean floor in 1989's Leviathan. I'm Darren Robo-Moser, and I'm joined again tonight by my friend divers John Six-Pack Mills. Yes, you got the six-pack. And unfortunately, our other diver, Tristan Doc Riddell, there's something about his past. We don't really mention it, but he's unable to join us. We'll say that.
It's taking him out of contention. And usually I'm okay with being the a-hole of the crew, but I
never
don't know.
trusted
Six-pack.
Doc made some bad choices.
Six-pack. I don't know if I want to be six-pack this time. I'm not going to be honest with you. I'm not even six-pack crossed a couple of lines that even I'm not comfortable with. And trust me, kids, that's saying something. Like, I don't like six-pack too much. Well,
it's always fun to see Daniel Stern in a non-Home Alone role, as it's like, oh,
True.
Look, I know that guy. All right, well, you can give yourself whatever rock jockin', slang totem nickname that you want, or in true fashion has to be given to you by your teammates. But we are talking about Leviathan. This one I've seen before because being a huge RoboCop fan, I was like, what? A movie with Peter Weller in it? Sign me up. And was promptly then, it's not RoboCop by far. It's not even RoboCop 2 or 3, the one with the kids.
Wow. Okay, and the jetpack. That's what edges RoboCop 3
I call
up.
RoboCop 3 the family one. Okay, it's
fine. Not the cartoon. You don't think the RoboCop cartoon was a family one?
Don't get me started on the cartoon, John.
Was it canon? Is the big question.
All I'm going to say about the cartoon is there's a scene where he deploys like a life raft from his belt. His partner's sitting there, and then his bicep literally opens up. And a martini slides out like Inspector Gadget style. It's so bad. I don't know how you make that. But
I think you and I have different definitions of bad. So I'm very curious.
So bad it's good. Well, there you go.
Okay, there you go. Because I was going to say with the different definitions of bad, it'll be interesting to see how this conversation goes.
Yes.
Not to tip my hand on the final rating on that one.
Well, John, let me start not by asking you when you first saw Leviathan, but when did you first watch this movie called 1982's The Thing? Because it's going to rely heavily on our discussion.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar. I got to be honest. It feels like a straight ripoff in a lot of ways, like just straight up ripoff, but without the fever dream intense creativity of John Carpenter during his most active phase. Yeah. Score, tension, editing, lighting, a whole bunch of stuff. But but the thing is, it's written by two people who have just an absolutely incredible filmography of scriptwriting, David Webb Peoples and Jeb Stewart. Okay. Yeah. Jeb Stewart wrote Die Hard, right?
The Fugitive. Oh my gosh.
Those are two pretty good movies.
Blade Runner, Unforgiven, 12 Monkeys. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Webb Peoples. Blade Runner, Unforgiven, 12 Monkeys. People took notice of those movies. They know the guy.
Yeah.
So you take those two people. I look at this movie and
special effects by Stan Winston, score by Jerry Goldsmith. It's checking all the boxes, John. But
I don't this is a fascinating movie on so many levels because I'm expecting a script that really sings. And this final product, I got to ask you, with those writers, do you see anything in this that says from the Oscar nominated writer David Webb Peoples and the guy who wrote Die Hard and The Fugitive, in all seriousness, is there anything about this where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that source material really seems super strong. That really seems like a movie that's,
No, I can't. I mean, I think it's the reason I asked you when you saw The Thing, because it is so carbon copy. It is to the fact that when the creature took the blood, I'm like, why? Because in The Thing they took the blood, because there's literally no reason for that at all. And I don't feel threatened by that. Like, yeah, they're at the bottom of the ocean, but they're kind of like within escape range versus in Antarctica. And if you run out of your blood supply, you're screwed. So it's like someone watched The Thing and didn't take note of all the things that actually made it good. The tension, like one of the biggest thing about The Thing is who is the thing. That is literally the whole point of it. Is like they're hiding in plain sight. Whereas in this one, anytime someone's get bit or scratched, I just write them off. I mean, when Hector Alonso got scratched, I'm like, well, nice knowing you, buddy, because you're dead. I know you're dead. It's just a matter of time.
But I will give them credit that, in terms of, because this is a director-focused podcast, at least they had the raw materials to assemble things in the correct order so that he looked progressively worse as time went on.
True.
So there's a semblance of thought behind that. There's not a continuity gap on that. So you have a director who's conscious of those sorts of things and saying, okay, in this scene, you have to look this way because this scene occurs after that scene, but before this scene. And I know that seems like a really stupid sort of thing to point out, but in all honesty, I think what we're coming to a conclusion with Cosmatos is, and we've openly acknowledged this since First Blood Part 2, is he's a manager. He is, as I've said, which everybody took as a sort of insult before, but I meant as a compliment, a director is essentially a project manager. He's or she is on set and they say, okay, I know what this is. I know what this is. I know where this needs to fit in. I need you to set up this shot and I need to know that you get this thing. Conversely, and I want to ask you this, like, do you think that what we've seen here with these three movies is Cosmatos is a director who doesn't have on-set inspiration? He shows up just like a program manager, and he's not being an artist about it. He's saying, I need X, Y, and Z, and that's precisely what you're going to give me, and then we're done for the day, and I'm going to go and I'm going to drink some wine and go to sleep.
Yeah, it's like the difference between formulation and inspiration. Like and to the positive, I like what you said, because it does establish rules and stick to them. And I've said that many times in many other movies. When they don't do that, I really hate it. When it's like, oh yeah, but gravity doesn't really matter in this scene. But it's like, no, that's, you're on a spaceship. It literally is a key player of the story, or to that effect. So, we're going to overlook decompression because, we hand wave it away. It's 2047, I think, is when this is set. So
is it 2047 or is it 2027?
Oh, 27. You're right. We're almost caught up to it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you say that, because I have to ask. I found that out when I did the research on it. There was nothing in this movie.
No, there's nothing in the movie. Yeah, I read it too. I didn't see it.
The hell did they expect me to pick up that it was 2027?
I barely picked up that we're off the coast of Florida. That I almost didn't know where this was. Yeah.
I knew there was a storm, but off the coast. Oh, come on, man. Like, in all seriousness, that's just nuts. I don't know my sense of place, and I don't know. And the thing is, those are things you can fix in post. Those are things that you can literally fix in post and say, oh, we should have an ADR line here where we say, oh, it sucks being down here in the waters under Florida. We never hit these sorts of storm problems off the coast of, Paraguay.
There might be
whatever.
A line, I think there is, about Florida, but I am not shocked that it, was missed. They'll put it that way.
Yeah, I will completely cop to the fact that I had trouble paying attention through the entire movie, because I wasn't very vested in these characters.
Yeah, so when we had chatted before, you had said that obviously there are parallels to The Thing, but you also mentioned Alien as a lot of parallels in the working man, the union. Do you feel like Leviathan hit the mark like Alien did, or was it like, a season 1 episode of a TV show where the characters haven't quite fit in the groove yet? And it's like the first, that vibe you get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. And I love the way you're putting it, because that's a great way to put it. I like the way that you put that. I would insult it even another step further by saying that the vibe I got really was back in the early days when camcorders were a new thing and my friends and I would make our own versions of movies.
Oh,
that's really where I see these characters.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh no, wait, no. Yeah. I'm going to be that guy. But like, oh no, but in this scene, I'm going to seriously sexually harass another member of the crew. And nobody's going to get, we didn't have any girls making the movies with us at the time. So would have been, tough to pull that one off with that particular group of friends. But, there you go. Like, seriously, like these characters feel so slapdash that I struggle to think of what could have been done to save them, because obviously these actors are performing what's on the page.
Right. They're doing with what they're given, and they're not given much.
But do you think that's a condemnation of Cosmatos because he's just making sure the lines are being spoken and not doing the on-set rewrites that movies are so famous for?
No, I mean, he didn't write it. Obviously, there's an intent in direction of how, we've all seen scenes written or scenes acted in different ways based on the direction. And so obviously there's a factor. So yeah, I think it comes down to what you said about Cosmatos being a manager and like here, insert, it sounds really mean. I don't mean it as mean as it's sounding, but it's like, insert script, output movie. It's okay. Here's the movie. Here's the script. Here's the characters. And he can do it. And he can, and you're going to get your minimum viable product. But, like we've seen all of these actors in other things pull magic out of the air. And I've seen Peter Weller act more with between his nose and his mouth than he did with his whole face in this movie. And we kind of started to get there. Like I liked where he kind of suited up and helped his crew out in the later act. Like that was kind of that little character development. But yeah, besides that, really all the other, characters, they just were just on the page. Nothing breathed any life into them.
Yeah. And, and the thing is, even inserting the moments where they're communicating with the surface and bringing in that actress who's so obviously, I mean,
there for eye candy.
Well, no, but like the piercing blue eyes, corporate head.
Oh,
you
that
only
actress.
see her. Yeah,
Sorry.
you only see her on screen. I got to ask you, technologically, do you think that I didn't see this in years past. I can't possibly be the only person watching that scene and saying, he's staring at the screen. Where the hell is the camera? Is the camera behind the screen?
I didn't even think about that for 2 seconds. And the fact that we never saw a reverse shot where we're in her office and he's on the monitor. Like we ever saw that. So I don't know what she's looking at, like a wide shot of the room. But now, yeah, you're asking the good questions, which means they shouldn't be asked, John.
Right. And it's one of those things where those transmissions like interrupt the flow of the story, such as it is. And I don't know, like, what do they add? What does it add when somebody just like pops in suddenly and they're just there? And it's like, like what purpose does that serve? It's almost as if somebody just calls in the middle of something and hey, look at that. There you go.
Hey, Tristan, I thought you were dead. I literally thought you were dead.
I'm so sorry. For some reason, I don't know why it took you guys only like 10 seconds to go 2 miles up. It took me a lot longer to go 2 miles to the surface.
Did your screen have your suit have the flashing handling decompression light? Because mine did, and I was fine.
Mine had a skull and crossbones for some reason.
You're so screwed. I'm sorry.
See, that's something we have to discuss that with the UI UX team.
My gosh.
We don't think that works anymore. That's not necessarily a good thing that you want to show somebody while they're going on.
Like if you want to keep somebody calm,
skull and crossbones means alive and kicking. It's all good, guys. No,
it's kind of like in Gravity when he says he's like, listen, you're sipping wine, you're not gulping beer. If you want that to happen, don't put the skull and crossbones.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's putting a sign up there that says panic and then in really tiny letters above it, don't.
Yeah. Panic if this light turns off. It's like, wait, what? What are you saying?
Right. Well, all right. So here we go. Here's the hero, Tristan Riddell, riding in to save us, even though we launched the bubbles already.
I don't know how he got in here, but that's all right.
Right.
No.
I mean, all of a sudden we're surrounded by sharks. And then we're surrounded by the bad guy. And then I'm the anti-Ernie Hudson here. Okay.
I thought he was going to make it, guys. I really did. He made it to the
so
surface.
Mean. He's so mean.
It's so mean.
So unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
I was actually, as much as I was disinvested, is that a word?
Yeah, it is
not
now.
invested in just got to use it in 2 other sources for 5 years. So much as I was not invested in the movie, when they did Ernie Hudson dirty at the end like that, I was actually pissed. I was actually angry because I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! Like you can't do like he's even on the water. Come on!" Like
he had character growth. I remember the whole time he's like, "I hate waves," and then at the end he's like, "Forget it. I love waves. Just get me out of here." Yeah,
right?
And he even had that nice moment with like, when he brought the puzzle back to De Jesus.
Yeah, he held the door. He's a stand-up guy. He apologized.
I think when the shark showed up, that's when I was just like, oh, okay, all right, nothing matters.
Actually, you made it through a lot of the movie before you hit Nothing Matters.
I did, actually. I made it through a while before I hit Nothing Matters. What's actually funny is that we get to the Ascensions, like I got to the Ascension scene with, what's her name? And not Bowman.
What is her? Yeah. No, it's Willie.
Willie.
Elizabeth Willie Williams. Yes.
Yeah. When Willie goes up, like my wife comes in and says like, "Hey, we got to go pick up my eldest." I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm sure I'm like 2 seconds away from the credits rolling anyway." And so I turned it off, and then I was like, "I'll just watch it later." And then I turn it back on thinking I'm just going to see like Peter Weller pop up and Ernie Hudson in there. They're all hugging and then they'll get picked up and then credits will roll. I had no idea I was going to get sharks. I was going to get Peter Weller, then sharks, then the helicopter.
Landed on the water like they don't.
Landed on the water. Yeah, like they don't. And then the monster and a grenade, Ernie Hudson dying. Then they get onto the helicopter. They get to a rig. He punches Meg Foster, a woman, square in the jaw. Then the credits roll.
Yep.
There was a lot to pack in.
There was a lot.
It's like a short film in and of itself. It's like an epilogue. It's sort of like everything that came before then was the movie, and then at the end, it was like, "Oh, P.S. This happened too." And you're like, "Oh, that feels like that could have been more."
This was like a Marvel's after credit scene.
No, yeah, the ending,
maybe a bit more than that, actually.
No,
that's giving.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's not as good as Marvel after credit. We'll give it that. So
also true.
All right, well, circling back to you, Tristan. This is the first time that John had watched this, and I believe you've seen it as well. But more importantly, you've seen The Thing, right?
No, I have not seen this before. I've never seen this before.
No. But I'm saying you have seen The Thing.
I saw the beginning of The Thing. I pretty much know.
Okay.
Most of it. It's been spoiled over all these decades. So like,
I owe Darren money. I owe Darren money because he said.
I said I didn't think you had seen it.
I don't think Tristan has seen The Thing, and my response was, "Oh, come on, everybody's seen The Thing." So I stand corrected. Not everybody has seen The Thing.
7 years ago, I think I started it. Like my wife and I started it, and we're like, "This is disgusting," and we turned it off.
All right. Well, if you've seen The Thing,
people, Tristan,
or even
different people.
Moments of it, it heavily influences this movie. Like, dear God,
This is Alien meets The Thing with a sprinkle of Abyss.
Yeah. That is the elevator pitch. You just gave us the elevator pitch for this movie because it is so blatant. And so where The Thing, I know you haven't seen most of it, but horror in general, creating a sense of tension. Did you have any tension in this movie at all for any of these characters?
No, because I clocked it, and we didn't have our first monster kill until the hour mark in a 90-minute movie.
True.
And so by the time you get to the monster kill, you want somebody to die. Like,
also true.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is that you're like, please take somebody. We know the HR problem that is Six Pack was going to die first. We all knew that was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Look, and I also want to say that even though discussions about different things and everything can be fraught, even back then, Six Pack's actions, I don't understand. Like he would have been kicked out of everything.
This was 1989, not 1959.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No. Yeah, how did they put up with Six Pack? That is the question.
Right.
Like, I mean, I would have believed it if like Willie or Bowman murdered him
right
before he got sick.
Oh no! I accidentally sabotaged your suit and you imploded into your helmet. It looks cool. Like I think we would all been fine with that.
But we were talking about like the script is David Webb Peoples and Jeb Stewart. You expect more, and it's like it would have been so easy to insert something where somebody says, "Why is he still here?" And somebody's like, "He's one of two people who can do
right. He's
X.
He's the nephew of Blue Eye Lady or something. He's got family
something
connections.
like that. Yeah, like nepotism or specialty something."
So something so incredibly unique,
right?
That he's untouchable and he abuses that privilege like the only programmer who can keep your network running or something like that.
Or if you're going to have a 90, like, I was something like, he worked his way through Shaq's 1 through 6, and now it's Shaq's 7's turn. Like that would be hilarious. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's getting bounced around, and it's hard because they're going for that alien worker, trucker, diver motif.
They are?
I know. Shocker.
It's subtle, but it's there.
It's not subtle at all. But the problem is, us as humans know you're on the bottom of the ocean. That takes a certain competency. Like that is not a driving a truck. Nothing against truck drivers, but it's not like a simple task. So yeah, it pushes against nothing against truck drivers. I'm not helping myself. All that to say, we know that diving is difficult and dangerous, and I would not trust myself around Six Pack in that environment. Nobody would. So it just makes it beyond
I wouldn't
belief.
trust a geologist or a scuba diver to pull, like run an 18-wheeler either. Like that's the thing. It's just like it's different skill sets. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So all that to say, they try to make it like, it's just a working class. It's like, yeah, in a highly dangerous, highly specialized technical field, yes, they are workers, but it just.
Well, if you look at, I'm trying to think, like if you look at the Abyss, everybody got along except for, when the Marines came in. Like before
and there was
Marines,
and there's the Lindsay, ex-wife conflict, but not like they couldn't work together. There's drama.
Yeah, there's drama there, but also, part of the crew like knew how to work together. And that's the thing. Like if you're going in for a 90-day rotation and you have substantial investment in this mining operation, these people have to get along because there's no evacuation. Like they made it really clear that like that was a last ditch effort. Like you can't just rotate out. You can't like this guy's an ass and so he needs to go. It's like, no, he's going to leave on the 90th day.
Right.
And so you think that they would try to figure out certain
and the fact that they kept
dynamics.
Doc around, who's kind of checked out, like he was playing golf. I kind of like that aspect. It actually made him a kind of interesting character. Like, oh, he's lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of unlost it for like the second half of the movie. But yeah,
and then sacrifices everybody.
I got a sense almost of what they were going for with Doc, which was he's a guy who's at the end of his career and he's literally just riding it out. He doesn't give a care because he's going to retire at the end of this. He's done.
I was got the sense that he did something somewhere that messed up royally. And they said that, but overall, I think what it is just riding the clock.
Right. He's just like, you know what? It's over after this anyway. Like they put me here so that I could ride out the rest of it. And then once I'm done here, I'm home.
Yeah. Get my pension.
Whatever. It's fine. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm done. Who cares? But Krenna doesn't appear to have gotten that note. Krenna is still playing a very earnest character, a very, like he suddenly comes alive at a certain point where he almost feels more like he should be in First Blood Part 2. Where he suddenly cares about everybody that's, what's going on. And then, of course, screws them by launching all of the bubbles. But it's like, even that is such a mess because they've clearly established they know who is infected. Like,
right.
You referenced the Thing. The scary part about the Thing was you didn't know who the monster was. In this, it's clearly defined. Were you touched or scratched or harmed in some way?
Or did you drink the water?
You're fine. Right. If vodka, no, you're fine.
Okay. I'm going to use that as a jumping off point.
Please.
Because I don't think it was well defined, particularly because there was so many, like while I was watching it, I was just like, what set of rules are they using? Because, you have Daniel Stern, so you have Six Pack and Bowman who drank the vodka. Get it. They got infected. But then they weren't quite sure how it transmitted, so they had Beck put on the mask and walk through the literal swinging door.
Yes.
True.
No lock.
No lock, no
seal.
Hermetic seal, no nothing, but put this mask on and check him out and everything like that. But then, so you have Bowman who kills herself without talking to anybody saying, hey, maybe if we caught it early in me, is there something that could be done?
Right.
Nope.
She did see the patches forming and that was enough for her to, but you're right. There was no communication.
She got out her jump to conclusions mat and tried to figure it out and then slashed her wrists. And okay, so that I get, those I get. Although at the same time, all right, so how did Bowman's body get absorbed into
Six
Packs?
Think what happened, because it is fast, but there you hear glass breaking, and I think what happened is her body like reanimated for a moment and like threw itself on top of him, and then and that's implied, like it's off camera. But you hear that they all rush in and then she's on him. And there is sounds that imply that something like that happened, but it's very quick.
Okay, that I will buy. I totally will get that. But then we have like it disconnects and we have the leg flopping around and it grows into something else. And so we're like, okay, so that's a thing. And it attacks De Jesus. And but like in like it
kind of embeds
cuts-
itself.
It embeds
sorta.
himself into him, and then we're like, okay, so is the monster just that original leg mixed with De Jesus, and then it gets
The dog.
Hector Elizondo, like, so it scratches when
Right.
like before it gets De Jesus, it scratches Elizondo, and we're like, okay, we all know that he's gone. But all of a sudden it turns into Alien, almost literally, like with the chest bursters coming out, and then all of a sudden he has a mouth on his hand, and
That's how it
then
gets
you
Doc.
have then you have Doc, who also does like this weird chest thing, but we don't see the monster around him anywhere. And so we're like, okay, so is it a chest burster or is it a rash? You know, like what
It's
the
genetic
hell is it?
manipulation.
So I guess we should bring in, we mentioned Alien, we mentioned The Thing. I guess we'll mention Prometheus then. So this prefigures Prometheus with the whole idea of why is it doing what it does with different people in different ways? Cause it just does.
I mean, it at its minimum, it is like if you come in contact like physically with somebody or are bitten, then I think the problem is they never show the merging. They never show it like walking in up to, like, the Doc obviously is sad because he knows he's got it. And then he obviously sabotages the water system, but then we don't see him moving over to the blob, getting like embraced and then merging into it. Like,
Right.
we never had that, and we kind of needed it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, even script or direction, however you want, whoever's door you want to lay this blame on, you fix that by having multiple creatures loose. And each one is a conglomeration. And you're like, oh, I thought I just killed this thing. Oh, it's different. And then you like kill them and then they merge together. And you're like, oh, crap. I just made it worse.
Yeah, then it
Because
becomes
now
like some
they're
sort of
all
rat
things.
king or something.
Right, exactly. And it's like, that's something that's solved at the script stage, which is why, again, this really feels like Peoples and Stewart were just like, how much money? Yeah, okay, sure.
Or the creature coming back in.
Change some names.
Like, I totally expected it to somehow find its way back in and re-merge. Like, if they had played up the merging more of like, this thing can, that's the problem, is it once it gets you, then you're attracted to it, and it, you know, you want to become the blob, like the blob, you know, in a way.
Well, but like a viewport scene where somebody who's been infected like touches one of the viewports, and then you see the original creature come up and like touch the other side,
right?
To like, just to imply that, like, oh, they're trying to reassemble like Devastator, and it's a Transformers reference, kids, and it just like, you know, have that sort of thing going on, like, and so they're like, we got to keep it separate. And we got to kill each piece. And then at the end,
it's a
like,
losing
all
battle.
of them come together.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But then like they all come together. And then like you've immediately,
it's okay.
I'm just frustrated.
Okay.
I'm even more frustrated now because I'm like, that would have been a pretty interesting movie. This was not.
Well, and
spoilers.
In reading, you know, about Cosmatos working with Stan Winston and company, I mean, he's specifically saying to Stan, I don't know what I'm doing. Just shoot it however you want and you think would work. Which, on one hand, I kind of get. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, but you could do worse than putting your faith in Stan Winston. But you also still need to kind of carry the director's vision of the plot. But I digress.
The vision?
The house of Cosmatos is a winding road of, I mean, like, you walk into the house and you open up.
Why is that vestibule over there? Why is there a hallway there? Doesn't make sense.
It's almost like the MC Escher of houses, where you walk, like the kitchen's on the right,
MC
and all of a sudden you're
Cosmatos.
in the toilet. You know, like, it's just that's the house of Cosmatos.
Yes.
There's no vision. He is. I don't know how he kept getting work. I mean,
this is where I'm going to come in and quasi defend him. Okay. We, the three of us, have all grown up in this producer director era where Spielberg, Lucas, yes, they know the value of, I have an idea, I need to be the producer and or executive producer to make sure said idea is expressed. Scorsese, all of these auteurs, they understand how it works. I have to answer to myself, because if I answer to somebody else, I have to do their thing. And Tristan, I would say that Leviathan, it finally really, I've always understood and I've always gone along with what you said, but I'm really, really getting it with Leviathan of there's a reason the producers are the ones that accept the awards. And I think what you have here is Cosmatos is an old school director in the new school auteur era. What he did worked 20 years before 1980. You know, in the 60s, this is exactly what directors were supposed to do. You show up and you make my damn movie, and you do not deviate from anything. And I'm going to be on set and I'm going to tell you what to do. And Cosmatos, yep, you got it, boss. That's what I'm going to do. You give me the script, I'm going to make sure we get these shots. You flash forward, we're used to, and in 1989, in and of itself, you have Tim Burton with Batman, you have James Cameron with The Abyss. Just those two movies alone are an example of directors who were like, hold on, my vision's going to be up on that screen. And the production team he's working with, at the very least, says, you got it. That's fine. We're in agreement as to what's going on. Cosmatos is just old school. He's just, okay, thank you for the script. I'm going to show up on set. I'm going to make sure I get all of these lines, and then I'll put together an assembly cut, and then you guys can just do what you will afterward.
I think that's really apt. I think that's really spot on. He's an old school director who is he's in the wrong decade, or at least he's in the wrong 5-year window
Era.
At least.
Era.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, because you're entering in the time of, you're going from the producing time when, not that there weren't standout directors, but you were less likely to know the name of your director. And you're moving into the Spielberg, Lucas, things like that, where, oh, I'm going to go see this because director X directed it, and I like the movies that they make. And it just, it didn't.
That's something that I definitely, I'm sure that there's people who are going to argue with me. I'm sure there's going to people who are going to tell me that, like, oh, what about Hitchcock? Well, okay, yes, there's an exception to every rule. But I think in the 90s specifically, I saw a much more public appreciation of a director's work, where you're just like, oh, that's a so-and-so film, I'm going to go see that. I mean, like I said, of course there's exceptions to the rule. I mean, you look at this, like, you look at the craziness that was the 70s that gave us Francis Ford Coppola, Spielberg, and Scorsese and everything like that. Like, of course, like, we got some amazing movies from them during that time. I'm talking about public perception, not industry perception. Public Joe Schmo. I feel like in the 90s, they started advertising it more and more. Like, this is a so-and-so picture. Pay attention. It's coming out next summer.
Right. Which is like in the past where we've said, like, I remember with McTiernan, where I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize he did all of these, because we weren't quite in that era yet, or he just didn't get that same treatment. It's probably more the case. And, now access to more information. I mean, before the internet, obviously you could find the information, but if you wanted to know all the films that McTiernan did, like, that was harder to figure out. Well,
yeah, you had to be sort of a Cameron or a Burton,
right? Because
a Tim Burton movie, you could sit down and you could look at it and you could say, oh, wow, okay, I get that.
Right.
That I see what's at work here. But it's I think one of those things where I still struggle with, there's something lacking with Cosmatos, in the sense that, sure, I could not tell you off the top of my brain who directed the original Willy Wonka, but I can say that I can look at that movie and see a director exerting influence on the way things are done and the way he collaborated with cast, as opposed to, this doesn't look like it matters who was behind that camera. They just needed somebody who was efficient and could get the job done. And I could pull Cosmatos out of any of these three movies
in there.
everybody's going to get those shots. Alex Thompson, the cinematographer, matters more than Cosmatos does. And it's a shame in the sense that he just threw up his hands and said, I don't know what I'm doing. Stan Winston, you direct all of the creature stuff. Because I think there are actually moments where there are some actually interesting shots happening. And it's very obviously not the second unit doing them. And it would have been nice for Cosmatos to say, hey, Stan, you get to direct the shots, but me and Alex, we're going to sit on the side and make sure at least that you're picking the right lenses and lighting to make sure that this looks like the rest of the movie, as opposed to just letting you shoot it the way you need to shoot it to make sure we get our monster shot and we're done.
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, it's a blockbuster rental. It's an in and out. Everyone's getting a paycheck. It's almost only noteworthy because there were so many dang underwater movies in 1989. Like there are at least like 5. Like there's so many for some reason that all came out in that year. Now this one also did a lot of what's dry for wet, where you are in a smoke filled soundstage, and they did, a decent job in those shots. Like it didn't look like the Abyss.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, like you could tell it wasn't the Abyss, but I thought for what it was, for dry for wet and everything like that, even the idea that they put the
bellows.
Yeah. Like
they put bellows in the shoes. So as you
that's what it's called. Yeah.
It would kick up dust and look like it was walking underwater.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I mean, like that kind of attention to detail is really cool. The Winston stuff, of course, was interesting and well made. And it's funny, like when you do, like I looked up this movie and I tried to learn some behind the scenes stuff. 95% of the behind the scenes stuff is all about the creature effects.
Yeah, you're right. Even the implosion of the shack was well done. Like it was again, this is 89. So there's not a lot of CG. There's not a lot, out there at this moment. So it's all practical. And so the effects are definitely good. The suits look good. I like the dive suits. They were a decent, design, but there was no plot to glue it all together. Just that I was interested in.
And I felt, honestly, I felt bad for Ernie Hudson because Ernie Hudson showed up to work.
He did.
He really showed up to work. And I think that Ernie Hudson, I always loved Winston as a Ghostbuster. And I loved him in The Crow.
There's a steady paycheck. I'm going to go to the bottom of the ocean and dig up your silver.
But I think he is actually an actor who has a natural on-screen presence. And he's one of those guys that just never had, he's always been, I think, hampered by being in a movie like Leviathan, where it's like his career has been solid and he has been memorable. But like I see him in Leviathan and I'm like, man, you should have been in a different movie this year that would have gotten more play, but I mean, he was in Ghostbusters too. So, he was in that blockbuster in 1989 at the very least, but like he's the only one. I mean, I love Hector Elizondo. I think he's great. And I'm actually, I think it's Eilbacher is how you pronounce her name. Lisa Eilbacher, the one who plays Bo. I like her. Whenever I see her on screen, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like she's a good supporting actress. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I just, maybe I'm just drawing attention to Hudson because I think they really did him dirty at the end of the movie. Like I'm legitimately believe that I've knocked this movie down in my final ratings because I was so annoyed with what they did at the end. Like it really bothered me.
And it bothered me too, because like as they were ascending, I was like, that's pretty, because like I wasn't sure if Weller was going to make it or not. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like Weller didn't make it. He sacrificed himself, but yet Hudson and Pays made it. I was like, that's a pretty unique ending. And then they all three of them made it up, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay, so we got the, we got the pretty much we got the three important people. That's cool. Like those are the three most likable characters.
Yeah,
and
the hero, the woman, and the black guy.
Yeah, and then I was like, they didn't kill the black guy. Awesome. And then they killed the black guy at the last minute. At the not even the 11th hour. We're talking about 11:59 is when they killed the black guy. And you're like, what the hell?
And they did it in such a way, like you almost could have edited it to be that way. Like you could have almost picked the shots where he wasn't in the wide shot above the water and found a couple of shots of him struggling to get to the surface and just not show him on the oil rig. Like it almost could have been made differently and then changed in the edit on how sloppy that sequence went down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the edit because the way the ending comes together, quote unquote, it doesn't come together. It's just like, okay, we got like 60 seconds, guys. Let's just chop it up. Okay. Let's just get it out the door here. And that's why like it screams to me like this feels more like a canon film that I would expect than anything else. And it just because it just that last 5 minutes in particular, it's just like just assemble it, just get it done. Like it felt like they were running out of budget. And it was like, look, we just got to wrap this up. Just get it done, get it out the door.
Which is crazy to me because this was a 90-minute movie, and for the first hour, almost nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
This is a monster flick. This is an underwater monster flick. And like I said earlier, the monster doesn't make its first kill until the hour mark. You made the wrong movie, if that's the case.
Well, if you're going to do that, again, not to parallel everything to the thing, but you need to do some serious establishment of your characters. Like make us care about all of them or have less characters. Have it be like a skeleton crew of 4 people. I mean, less to kill, but they didn't do that either. So we ended up not caring about all the characters really, like just starting to kind of click with them. And then, the movie's practically done and here's the monster. And then it's over. Like it just,
yeah. If this was a 2-hour film or a 2:20 film, I could totally believe that the monster wouldn't make its first kill until the hour mark, but not in a 90-minute film, not even 90 minutes.
Yeah, like you said, there's not a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but it really feels like they knew they had a stinker and they just cut it down to the bone to say, okay, let's just get this out.
Get as many people want to watch it
as many showings as possible. And yes, a March release date in 1989 was basically just saying, fine, just release it and we'll eat the tax loss. It's fine.
It was a $21 million budget, which is a chunk for 89. Like that's not Batman money, but that's not nothing.
Well, no, Batman cost a little more than 10 million more. And Batman had one hell of a budget behind it. So like, they had Jack Nicholson. So you're paying for Nicholson in and of himself, and you have all of those effects in Batman and the suit and all of the special effects and all of the practical stuff and all of those sorts of things. So this should have looked a lot better than it did. It really should have.
Yeah, Batman, I think, was almost 50, like not quite 50 mil.
That would have included the marketing, I think, because I'm pretty sure the production budget was like around 32 or 33 million for Batman in 89.
But this only made 19 million overall, which is not even its production budget. So it did not do
what's
well.
crazy,
including its Italian box office.
Oh, well, yes, of course I'm including the Italian box office, John.
But that's the thing is that like, okay, so we're talking about like special effects and creature effects and everything like that. So if you get Stan Winston,
miniature effects, smoke effects.
Yeah. Like if you get Stan Winston creature effects, you don't need to cut it like Jaws.
Right. Where you don't see the monster.
That's the thing is that like, so Alien didn't do that. You saw the creature, like, of course, like it teased here and there, but then you eventually saw it. And
you saw
you were
it so
terrified.
much where you thought you saw it everywhere. You thought
Right.
it was in the walls, in the ceiling, and everywhere.
And in,
Yeah.
in Jaws, we all know the story behind Jaws about how it was saved in the edit because they couldn't get the damn thing to work. And so the tension came from not seeing it. This is not one of those times, but yet they treated it that way. So
You're
if
right.
you have all of this budget going towards Winston, because it sounds like Winston basically ran the show on second unit, and also some first unit.
Yeah.
Like they clearly have this budget going towards it. He clearly made something that works. So why cut around it? And it just, I think that caused a lot of story problems, is because there's so much that we didn't see, that so much is left to our imagination, not in the frightening way where our imagination is scarier than the reality. It's so much is left to our imagination is, oh, I guess I have to connect the dots in my own mind.
Right. No, very, very true. All right. Well, we've kicked this can, and I just heard that we're going to implode in 5 minutes. So it's time for Lance Reddick and then final thoughts. So, John, honestly, you got your pick. Really, anyone. Who would you replace on the good ship Shack 7 with our friend Lance?
You know what? What the hell? Let's make him Doc.
Okay.
Let's replace Krenna. Let's make him Doc and see what happens there. Because I honestly think I have nothing to back this up, but the vibe I get is that Krenna was there as a favor to Cosmatos.
It did kind of feel like that.
You know, it was like, Richard, I need your help on this one. We've worked together before. I can get you a paycheck. And Krenna's like, yeah, sure. I'm free. Sure. It's good.
All right. So he's the Doc. He's playing golf in the beginning. He's not quite there. Yeah. And then he sacrifices himself and makes some judgment calls that he shouldn't be making. All right, Tristan, who on our motley crew is going to be Lance?
I think he would make a good Cobb, Hector Elizondo, because I feel like it would have been really cool to hear Reddick spout off union rules in like a really
really dry way.
Like in a really dry way, like you can't tell us what to do because of X, Y, and Z. But boom, like I could just see him deliver those lines.
Like, I know
really
you're not
cool and collected way,
making us do overtime without filling out a 5 sections C paperwork, are you, boss? And
yeah,
for me, again, I'm gonna say Beck. Like I know I'm the big Peter Weller RoboCop fan, but there was nothing special about this performance, really. Like it.
I don't think there was much to the character.
There wasn't.
I don't even think it's necessarily Weller's fault. And I'm not the biggest Weller fan, but I there's just no meat on the bone of that character.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about movies before where we've said, man, if they had given that actor something, they would have gotten something in return, but they didn't give him anything. And that is very true, I think, in this movie, where there's just a lot of mid. So, all right. So we have our Lance. Who could he be? He could be anyone, just like the thing. I mean, the Leviathan monster. So, Tristan, has your rating shifted at all since this discussion?
I don't want to go first. I don't want to go first. I want to hear it. I don't want to.
You came last. You go first. No,
oh, fine. You suck. All right. Okay. All right. So
commit and believe.
I'm going to commit okay. So I teased my rating to you guys before we started recording because I didn't think I was going to be able to record. And so I told you what it was so you could tell the people. So I think my rating has stayed the same. I've been giving this 2 stars. This is a half star more than I gave Cobra because Cobra made no sense to me. Just zero. It felt like it was written by AI and you could have jumbled the scenes together and it would have made the same amount of sense. This one at least has a linear storytelling fashion where you can tell what's going on. It's Alien meets The Thing with a sprinkle of The Abyss. Like I understand that. Like we got the big bad corporate people. And then we got the truckers, not in space, but the truckers underneath the water. And all of a sudden, there's a monster that can infect you and kill you. It can merge. Almost everybody dies. Makes sense. Motivation's there. Everybody wants to get paid. Nobody wants to die. So that in itself is better than Cobra to me. Cobra pissed me off while I was watching it. This one didn't piss me off. I was just kind of like, this isn't very good. Like this is a low budget Alien. And even when my wife walked in towards the end, when Weller and Hudson has the flamethrowers, she's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's a low budget Alien." She's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." So that's all it is to me. It's a low budget Alien, 2 stars. It's a bad film. Like that's what I get. Like 1.5 is Walmart bin. 1 star is like, how did this even get made? So to me, this is 2 films. It's a bad star. It's a bad movie, but it's at least coherent. Like the special effects are good, and so that bumps it up a little bit more. Like there's no actors that I think did a terrible job. I think everybody, I think John, I think you're absolutely right. I think Hudson showed up to work, and you could really tell that he was into it, and he was a professional. But I don't think there was really too many weak links, personally. So 2 stars, not a good film.
All right. Well, John, again, this being the first time you watch this, I know you've been waiting eagerly to share your rating on this. How many stars? How many?
1. It's 1 star.
Ooh.
Done.
Straight to the point.
And the thing is, I will respond to Tristan's eloquent takedown of Cobra to say that with Cobra, it's a bad movie. I gave that one 2 stars. I give this one 1 star. Because Cobra, yeah, part of it's nostalgia, moth to a flame sort of action. But at the very least with Cobra, I can mock it for what just a stupid, like it's a parody of itself sort of thing. Like it would have worked better if they had tried to make it a parody, but Stallone was too high on his own supply to do that sort of thing. They could have been super meta with it and gotten away with it. And there are still things where I can watch Cobra like a riff tracks and just have fun with it and make merciless fun at the expense of everybody involved. Leviathan was a joyless exercise, and I was bored through most of it. I paid attention to Ernie Hudson, but there's just like from the very beginning when Peter Weller is trying to talk them through the oxygen thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, I get what you're trying to do here to establish the characters, but this really isn't working. And it never got me. I never was invested. And frankly, handing the reins over to Winston to shoot things, I think was a tremendous mistake, because there are certain things where, yes, Winston, and by his own admission, he said, well, I knew how to shoot our creature so it would look a certain way. You did. That's true. You did not know how to shoot things so that I gave a damn about what was happening in the scene. You put together an effects reel. That's what you do. And so I will throw that on Cosmatos and say, you are the project manager. You're supposed to be there making sure things come together correctly. You just wanted a day off. You wanted to walk away because you weren't interested in knowing how that worked. Not cool. That's not what you do. So yeah, it's 1 star. Dead and buried. I will never watch this thing again.
Yeah. When I watched this again, out of curiosity, this was on the Blockbuster list. You'd see it in the horror section. It's got a decent cover, but it took me a long time to actually see it. And honestly, I probably would not have watched it again except for this podcast and the joy of discussing it, because it is the kind that it's so transparent in it's not parody, but it's just photocopying of better material, that I knew that would be an interesting discussion. And yeah, I'm also going to give it a 1 star. And that 1 star is purely for what they achieved without CGI. The special effects are the best part of this, because the plot is not there. And
I hate that you guys made me give it the highest rating.
I love that you gave it the highest rating, because you're the curmudgeon, and this is what you get. This is what you get for not being here. You would have given it 1 star had you been here from the beginning, Tristan, but you weren't. So you wind up giving it 2 stars. So there
You
you go.
deserve that.
I know what I'm going to get you for Christmas, Tristan. Your favorite movie, Leviathan from 1989.
No. If you could find this.
Oh gosh, no. Anyway, yeah. So I did enjoy this conversation. Even with the worst of movies, it is always a fun time picking it apart, analyzing it, sitting back and being like, what was that? But I don't think that's going to be the case next week as we end the House of Cosmatos, jumping to 1993 with Tombstone here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.